My name is Grandma Betty. I was born in Montgomery, Alabama, and I'm 82 years old. I've lived in the United States all my life, and honey, I've seen things you wouldn't believe. Before I begin this story, I want y'all to do me a little favor. Please hit that like button and subscribe to Grandma's Tales. That way, you won't miss any of my true life stories. And tell me, where are you watching from? Type your city or country in the comments. Grandma wants to know where her babies are tuning in from. Now, let me tell you something that still makes my bones shake every time I close my eyes. It happened on a warm Sunday night. I was asleep in my room, wrapped up in my quilt just like every other night. My bones had been aching from gardening earlier that day, and I had taken some pain medicine before bed. I didn't even hear the door open. I didn't hear the creak of the floor. But I felt something heavy pressing on my legs. At first, I thought it was a bad dream. But when I opened my eyes halfway, I saw him. It was my son-in-law, Marcus. I froze. I couldn't scream. He was touching me in places he had no right to. My own daughter's husband. In my house. I wanted to die right there. But then, the bedroom light snapped on. My husband, Walter, was standing at the door, holding his cane, his eyes wide open like he'd seen a ghost. And that, my darlings, is when everything started to fall apart. Let me take you back to how it all began. Maybe then, you'll understand how something this horrible could happen in a home filled with love. It started months earlier when my daughter, Melanie, lost her job. Her company had downsized, and she didn't know what to do. She and Marcus had 2 little kids and nowhere to go. Walter and I didn't think twice. We opened our doors and told them, "Come stay with us as long as you need." That's what family does, right? Marcus always seemed like a quiet, respectful man. He'd say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, every time I spoke. He helped carry groceries, mowed the lawn, even fixed the back porch one weekend. Walter liked him. I didn't trust him completely. There was something in his eyes. Something cold. But I pushed that feeling aside. One night, I heard voices outside the guest room. Melanie was crying. I peeked through the door crack and saw Marcus shouting, waving his arms. I couldn't hear every word, but I caught something like, "I should have never married you." Next morning, I asked Melanie if she was okay. She just smiled and said, "We're fine, Mama. Just tired." Walter told me to mind my business. "Let them work it out," he said. "They're young." Still, I couldn't sleep well after that. Something was wrong. Then strange things started happening. I'd find my bedroom door open in the morning, though I was sure I locked it at night. Once, my underclothes were moved around in my drawer. I thought maybe I was losing my mind. Until the day I found Marcus in the hallway outside my bedroom, pretending to look for the bathroom. He wasn't embarrassed. He just smirked. Said, "Didn't mean to scare you, Ma." I told Walter. He said I was imagining things. Said, "Marcus wouldn't do anything like that. He's your son-in-law." That night, I cried myself to sleep. I started locking my bedroom door tight, even putting a chair against it. I even told Melanie that Marcus was giving me weird feelings. She laughed it off. "He's just playful, Mama. Don't take it the wrong way." But I knew. Deep down, I knew. And then came that Sunday night. I had taken 2 pain pills instead of 1. I guess I was too tired, too trusting. I forgot to lock the door. I paid for it. When Walter turned on the light and saw Marcus in that position, everything exploded. Walter shouted, louder than I'd ever heard him in all our years together. His cane hit the wall. Marcus jumped up, pulling his pants. He tried to lie. Tried to say he was checking on me, because he heard a sound. But Walter wasn't stupid. He told Marcus to get out, that minute. Melanie came running down the hall, asking what happened. Marcus was screaming, begging her not to believe their lies. I stood in the corner, shaking, my nightgown torn, tears streaming down my cheeks. I couldn't even speak. Walter said the police were coming. But then, Melanie did something I never expected. She stood between Marcus and the front door and shouted, "Nobody's calling the cops."
Mama's confused.
"You're all just trying to ruin my marriage." My knees gave out. My own daughter didn't believe me. And just when I thought my heart couldn't break anymore, Walter grabbed his chest and fell to the floor. Walter collapsed right there in the hallway, his body hitting the floor like a tree falling in the woods. I screamed his name. Walter! Walter! But he didn't answer. His face was pale, his lips turning blue. Melanie gasped. For a moment, the whole room froze. Even Marcus looked terrified. But not for me. Not for what he had done. No, he was scared because now the truth was about to come out. I dropped to my knees beside my husband, shaking his shoulders. Stay with me, baby. Please stay with me. I cried. I could barely hear anything over the ringing in my ears. Melanie finally called 911, her voice trembling. Marcus was pacing back and forth like a caged dog. He kept saying, "This is getting out of hand, this is getting out of hand," over and over. The paramedics came quick. Thank the Lord. They rushed Walter to the hospital. He had suffered a mild heart attack. The doctor said it was stress-related. Stress-related. From seeing his own daughter's husband assaulting his wife in the middle of the night. While Walter was in the hospital, the house was quiet. Too quiet. Melanie avoided me. She barely looked me in the eye. Marcus acted like nothing happened, sitting on the couch, watching TV, even asking what was for dinner. I didn't answer him. I stayed in my room. I locked the door every night and sat in the corner with my Bible, praying. 2 days later, Melanie came into my room. Her eyes were puffy, like she hadn't slept. She stood there for a long time before speaking. Mama, she said, I don't know what to believe. That broke me more than anything. You don't know what to believe? I whispered. You saw your father have a heart attack because of what that man did. You saw my nightgown torn. You saw the way I was crying, shaking. You really don't know? She just cried. I wanted to hug her. I wanted to scream. I wanted to disappear. But instead, I said, if you don't get that man out of my house, Melanie, I will. I won't let this happen again. She left the room without a word. That evening, Marcus knocked on my door. I didn't answer. He said through the door, You're trying to ruin me. But you don't scare me, old woman. You better keep your mouth shut if you want peace in this house. I held my Bible tighter. My hands were trembling. When Walter came home from the hospital, he was weaker, slower. But the fire in his eyes hadn't gone out. I want him out, he said. Tonight. We both told Melanie that it was either Marcus leaves or they both go. She didn't answer right away. But that night, she packed their things. I stood at the window and watched them drive off, her 2 children asleep in the back seat. Walter and I sat in silence for hours. I wanted to feel relief, but all I felt was pain. A week passed. Then 2. Then the messages started. I got a text message from a number I didn't recognize. It said, You think this is over? I know where you shop, where you go to church. You're not safe, old woman. I showed it to Walter. He called the police. They said they couldn't do much unless the threat was physical. So I changed my routines. I stopped going to the grocery store alone. I stopped going on my morning walks. I even started sitting with a knife under my pillow at night. Then one Sunday after service, I saw Marcus standing across the street from our church, just staring. He didn't move. He didn't wave. He just stood there, arms folded, eyes cold. That night I knew something bad was coming. And I was right. Because the very next morning, I woke up to the smell of smoke. The kitchen was on fire. Thick black smoke filled the hallway. I coughed so hard I thought my chest would explode. Walter was yelling my name from his bedroom. Betty! Betty, where are you? I grabbed the bedsheet and tied it over my mouth and nose, like I saw in the movies. I threw open my bedroom door, and the smoke slammed into me like a brick wall. The fire was coming from the kitchen, the orange glow licking up the walls, crackling like the devil himself had lit the stove. Walter, get out the back. I screamed. I'm right behind you. He was already crawling through the hallway, one arm shielding his eyes, the other dragging his cane. That man, 85 years old, dragging himself through the smoke to make sure I was safe. We made it out the back door just before the flames reached the living room. Our neighbors ran over, calling 911. My legs gave out in the grass. I held Walter in my arms, both of us coughing, shaking, crying. The firefighters arrived fast. They battled that blaze like warriors. But half the kitchen was gone. Smoke damage was all over the walls. After it all calmed down, the fire chief pulled me aside and said something I'll never forget. "Ma'am, this fire didn't start from an electrical fault. It was gasoline. Someone poured it through the kitchen window. This was intentional." I looked at Walter. He already knew. "Marcus," he said. I nodded. We gave the police the threatening messages. I showed them a photo I had secretly taken of Marcus across the church. But still, no arrest. "We don't have enough proof to press charges," they said. Proof? The man tried to burn us alive. Walter didn't sleep for nights. He sat up with his shotgun across his lap, eyes fixed on the front door. I told him he needed to rest, but he refused. "That man came into our home once. He'll never do it again," he said. But I wasn't just scared for us. I was scared for Melanie. I hadn't heard from her in weeks. Her phone went straight to voicemail. I feared she was either blind to Marcus's evil, or worse, she was being hurt too. Then one night there was a knock at the door. It was 2 a.m. Walter stood, shotgun ready. I peeked through the curtain. It was Melanie. She was barefoot, wearing a torn sweater, holding the kids in each arm. Her face was swollen, one eye purple, her lip bleeding. I threw open the door. "Mama," she whispered.
"I'm sorry."
"You were right." The kids were crying. I took them into my arms and hugged them tight. Walter helped Melanie inside. She collapsed on the couch. She cried for hours. She told us everything. Marcus had lost his job. He started drinking. He blamed Melanie for everything, for moving in with us, for making him look weak. Then he started hitting her. At first, just shouting and throwing things. Then fists. She tried to leave, but he threatened to hurt the kids. He told her, "If you ever go back to your mama's, I'll make sure she never sleeps again." He meant it. He always meant it. I was crying too, holding her hand, stroking her hair. "It's not your fault, baby," I told her. "You just wanted to believe in the man you loved." That night, all 5 of us slept in the same room. We locked the doors, windows, even the attic hatch. Walter sat in his chair, shotgun ready. Morning came. Sunlight felt strange, like it had no right to shine after what we'd been through. But we had survived. We went to the police again. This time, with Melanie's testimony, photos of her bruises, the messages, everything. They filed for a restraining order. They opened a full investigation. But Marcus was already gone. Vanished. The police searched his last known address. Empty. No sign of him. No trace. But the damage was done. We were broken, but not destroyed. The kids started sleeping in our room. Melanie started therapy. Walter tried to fix the kitchen himself. Said it gave him purpose. One evening, I was tucking the kids into bed when the doorbell rang. It was a strange man's suit, tie, glasses. He handed me a folder. "You're Betty Langston?" he asked. I nodded. "This is from the Department of Family Services. There's been a report filed. It says you're unfit to care for your grandchildren." Someone filed a complaint anonymously. I opened the folder. Inside were photos of me, sleeping, in my nightgown, in bed. Someone had been watching me, taking pictures. My knees buckled. Pictures of me, sleeping, in my own home, in my own bed. Who would do this? But deep down, I already knew the answer. Marcus. That man, that devil, was still watching us. Watching me. The photos were creepy. One of them showed me lying on my side holding my Bible. Another one had the blanket halfway down, exposing my nightgown. And the worst part? One of the pictures was taken inside the house. Walter rushed over when he saw me shaking with that folder in my hands. He looked at the photos. Then his face turned red with anger. "This ain't no random complaint. Asterisk," he said. Asterisk, this is a warning. He's not done with us. The man from Family Services apologized. He said it was procedure. They had to follow up on every complaint. But I could tell, even he was disturbed. He left and Walter locked every door, every window, even the crawl space under the house. We installed new cameras. I barely slept that night. Every creak in the wood made me jump. The next morning, Melanie was in the kitchen helping Walter repair one of the cabinets when she gasped. She had found something tucked inside the cabinet frame, a small, black Bluetooth camera. Hidden. We called the police. Again. They took the camera. Promised to run fingerprints. But Marcus had always been careful. Smart. Too smart. That night, I sat on the edge of my bed and cried like I hadn't cried in years. Not because I was scared. Because I was tired. Tired of fighting. Tired of being watched in my own home. Tired of pretending to be strong for everyone. And that's when I heard a whisper at my door. It was Melanie. Mama, she said, I need to tell you something else. I wiped my tears and told her to come in. She sat down beside me, looked me right in the eye. Marcus has something, she said, voice low. Something dangerous. I think he recorded the night he tried to touch you. My heart dropped. What? He used to brag about recording people. Said it was his way of protecting himself, or trapping others. That night, I saw him holding something in his hand before Daddy walked in. It looked like a phone. I cover my mouth. You mean he recorded it? She nodded. That's why he's still messing with us. He has something he thinks will keep him in control. And he'll use it when he wants to ruin us. Walter called his old friend at the sheriff's office, someone who owed him a favor. He told him everything. The camera, the photos, the hidden files, the possibility of that recording. The sheriff promised to help. But he warned us. Men like Marcus don't stop until someone stops them. We knew what that meant. We had to be ready. The next few days were calm. Too calm. Walter built a lockbox under our bed with all our important papers. We changed our locks again. Put alarms on the doors. Even the kids knew. If they heard the alarm, they were to run straight to the neighbor's house. One night, I was folding clothes when I found something in one of Melanie's old purses. It was a small flash drive. I plugged it into my laptop. There were 3 video files, all with no names, just dates. The last one was from the night Marcus crept into my room. My hands trembled as I clicked play. The video was grainy, dark, but it was clear enough. I saw myself, lying in bed, sleeping. Then the door creaked open, and there he was, Marcus, creeping toward me, shirtless, whispering something I couldn't make out. His hand reached for my blanket. Then suddenly, the camera jolted. The sound of Walter shouting, the thud of him falling, the phone dropping. The screen went black. I slammed the laptop shut. I couldn't breathe. Melanie stood behind me, eyes wide. That's it, she said. That's the proof. We take this to the police. I nodded. But in my heart I knew Marcus would never let that happen. We had something he wanted. He'd come for it. The question was when? And just as I was about to speak, the power went out. Pitch black. No sound. Just the wind outside. And the slow creak of our back door swinging open. The house was dead silent. No lights. No hum of the fridge. No street lamps through the window. Just darkness and that soft creaking of the back door swinging open. Walter jumped to his feet and grabbed his shotgun from behind the curtain. Melanie clutched the kids in the hallway. I held the flash drive so tight in my hand, it left marks in my palm. Stay low. Stay quiet, Walter whispered, inching toward the kitchen. I could barely hear my own breath over the pounding in my chest. Then footsteps. Slow, steady, heavy, moving through the kitchen. Walter held his breath and aimed. I know you're in here, he shouted. I'll shoot. Silence. Then a voice deep, cold, mocking. Go ahead, old man. You don't got the guts. Marcus. He was inside the house. I rushed to Melanie and the kids. I pushed them into the pantry and locked them in. Don't make a sound, I whispered. Not a sound. Walter and Marcus were shouting now. Their voices echoed down the hall. Then a crash. A bang. Walter. I screamed. I ran to the living room and froze. Walter was on the floor, holding his side, blood pouring between his fingers. Marcus stood above him, holding a tire iron. Told you to stay out of my way, old man, he sneered. He turned to me, wild-eyed, breathing hard. Where is it? He barked. Where's what? I said, backing up. He stepped closer. Don't play dumb. The flash drive. You watched the video, didn't you? You saw it. You saw everything. I didn't answer. My hands were behind my back, still clutching the drive. He lunged. I screamed and threw the first thing I could grab, a glass lamp. It shattered across his shoulder. He staggered, howling. I ran for the front door. He chased me, grabbed my shoulder, and slammed me into the wall. My head spun. Everything went blurry. He leaned in close, breath hot in my face. You ruined everything, he hissed. You and your husband and your stupid daughter. You think anyone's gonna believe you? I'm gonna take that drive, burn your house to the ground, and no one will even remember your name. But suddenly,
boom.
A loud crack of thunder outside. Then flashing lights. Red and blue. Sirens. Marcus froze. The front yard lit up like Christmas. The sheriff's car. 2 more patrols behind it. Officers running toward the porch. He looked at me, wild with rage. You called the cops. I smiled, blood trickling from my lip.
No, Marcus.
I didn't. But my granddaughter did. She pushed the panic button. Melanie had taught the kids how to use it. A small red button by the pantry, directly linked to the sheriff's office. He turned to run, but the door burst open. 3 officers tackled him to the ground. He screamed, kicked, spit, but they pinned him down. Walter groaned from the floor. I rushed to him, cradled his head. You're okay. You're gonna be okay, I whispered. Melanie and the kids came out, sobbing, shaking. We huddled in the living room while the police cuffed Marcus and dragged him outside. One of the officers picked up the flash drive from the floor. This what he was after? He asked. I nodded. It's all on there. They took our statements. Took Marcus to jail. Took Walter in an ambulance. The sheriff pulled me aside. He'll be charged for the assault, the break-in, and attempted murder, he said. And, thanks to that video, he's going away for a long, long time. I nodded, eyes still fixed on the flashing lights outside. But as I turned to go back inside, something caught my eye. Across the street, behind the bushes, a figure, a woman, blonde hair, black coat, holding a phone. She stared at me, then vanished into the night. That woman. I knew that face. Even in the shadows, even across the street, I knew it. Jessica. Marcus's ex-girlfriend. The mother of his child. The same woman who'd vanished when he started dating Melanie. Why was she here? What was she doing hiding behind those bushes? I tried to chase after her, but my knees gave out. Melanie caught me just in time. The police searched the area, but she was long gone. And that wasn't the worst part. The next morning, the police returned with news. Marcus was gone. He escaped during a hospital transfer. The sheriff said, face grim, slipped out of his restraints and disappeared into the woods outside the county line. I nearly fainted.
How?
How could this happen? We think someone helped him, he said. Possibly a woman.
Blonde.
Drove a black SUV. Cameras picked it up briefly. Jessica. That no-good woman had come back to help that demon escape. And now he was out there.
Free.
Angry. Desperate. We weren't safe. Walter came home with stitches and a bandage around his ribs. Still strong, still proud. But I could tell that attack had taken a toll on him. I let my guard down, he said, lying on the couch. I should have ended him that night he touched you. No, I told him. You saved me. That's what matters. We reinforced the house again. Cops patrolled the block every few hours. But still, I felt it, that dread in the pit of my stomach. Then things started happening again. At first it was little stuff. Our mailbox torn open. A brick through our window in the middle of the night. Then, notes. Folded slips of paper shoved under the door. One read, "You thought it was over?" Another, "I still have the rest of the footage." Melanie was a wreck. She started sleeping with a knife under her pillow. The kids wouldn't leave the house. Even church felt unsafe. Then one evening while I was making stew, I saw it. Taped to the kitchen window, a photo. It was me.
Sleeping.
Again. Taken recently. After Marcus escaped. I screamed so loud. Walter came running. We searched the entire house. Called the police again. They swept the property, checked every room, attic, basement, crawl space. And that's when Officer Davis, a young patrolman, found something under the floorboards in the guest room. A small plastic bag. Inside it, another flash drive. No one in my house owned it. We all stared at it, not knowing what to do. "Should we watch it?" Melanie asked. Walter shook his head.
No.
Let the police handle it. But that night, after everyone went to bed, I couldn't stop thinking about it. What if it was something important? What if it was the proof we needed to put him away forever? I turned on the old laptop, took a deep breath and plugged it in. The folder opened. There were dozens of files. Clips. Photos. Screenshots. Videos of me, at the grocery store, in the backyard, sitting on the porch with Walter. It was all recent. But then, I clicked on one labeled simply, dream _night_to MP4. I hesitated. Then clicked. The screen went black for a moment. Then the footage began. It was our bedroom. Our new locks. Our new cameras. Me, fast asleep. Then movement. The doorknob turning. Slowly. Softly. Marcus's face appeared in the crack of the door. He had been in our house again. After the attack. After escaping. After the police came. And none of us even knew. I screamed and yanked the laptop shut, heart pounding out of my chest. That man, that monster, had been sneaking in while we slept. Watching us. Recording us. He was toying with us. And suddenly I knew he wasn't done. He wanted revenge. And he was saving the worst for last. The next morning, as we stood outside waiting for the police to come collect the drive, the kids playing quietly in the yard, Melanie looked up at the sky and whispered,
Nana.
"I don't think he's coming after you anymore." I turned to her. "What do you mean?" She swallowed hard. "I think he's coming for me now." And just as she said it, we heard tires screech. A black SUV came speeding around the corner, headed straight toward our house. And didn't stop. The black SUV roared toward us like a charging bull. Melanie screamed. I grabbed the kids and shoved them behind the porch swing. Walter jumped off the steps, waving his arms to stop it, but the SUV didn't slow down. "Get back, Walter." I screamed, but it was too late.
Boom.
The car crashed straight into the wooden fence, splinters flying into the air like fireworks. It screeched to a halt inches from the porch. The engine sputtered. The hood smoked. The door flew open. Out stepped Jessica, disheveled, hair wild, eyes red and swollen like she hadn't slept in days. She looked straight at Melanie. "He's going to kill you," she said, her voice shaking. "He's not just angry. He's gone." Walter raised his shotgun. "Back away from my family." But Jessica dropped to her knees in the yard, sobbing. I tried to stop him.
I didn't know he was like this.
"I thought he loved me. He said he wanted to raise our son together." "What are you talking about?" I cut her off. Jessica looked up at me, tears streaking down her cheeks. "Marcus, he's been planning this for years. He was never after you, Grandma." "Not really." It was all to break Melanie. Melanie stood frozen on the steps, hugging her children close. Jessica crawled to the porch and reached into her coat. Walter cocked the shotgun. "Don't." But she didn't pull a weapon. She pulled out a phone. "It's all here," she said. "Every video, every threat, every location."
I helped him for a while.
I admit it. I was stupid. But once I saw what he did to you, I knew I had to stop him. I snatched the phone and handed it to Walter. Inside were hundreds of files, messages, audio clips, including one video dated the same night Marcus broke into our house. It was a video of Melanie sleeping in her room and Marcus standing over her, whispering, "One more night, baby, one more, and I'll take everything back." Melanie turned away from the screen, covering her mouth. "That's why I kept dreaming about him," she whispered. "He was really there." Just then, we heard another car pull up. Sheriff Allen jumped out, gun drawn, officers behind him. Jessica stood and raised her hands. "I want protection," she shouted. "He's going to kill all of us." The sheriff looked confused, but Walter handed him the phone. "Everything you need is in there."
Sheriff Allen nodded.
He turned to Jessica. "You're coming with us. And you better tell the truth. Every single part of it." Jessica nodded as they cuffed her gently and led her to the back of the car. But as they loaded her in, she turned to me. "Grandma?"
I'm sorry.
"But he's not done." I frowned. "What do you mean?" She hesitated, then whispered, "He's got help." The door shut. The car pulled away. And just as peace seemed to return to the street, my cell phone buzzed. An unknown number. I answered. A voice, cold, low, crackling through the speaker, said, "You think Jessica betrayed me? You think this is over?" Then silence. Then a soft, cruel laugh. "I'm in the house." I dropped the phone, turned around, and saw the attic door hanging open. The attic door swung gently above us, creaking on its hinges like a warning from the heavens. I couldn't breathe. Melanie grabbed the kids and backed toward the front door. Walter raised his shotgun again, his hands shaking slightly this time, not from fear, but from age and anger. I looked up into that dark hole in the ceiling and knew backslash. He was here. "Call the sheriff," I whispered to Melanie.
Now.
She was already dialing. Walter motioned for me to stay back, then slowly climbed the ladder into the attic. Each creaking step sounded like thunder in the silence. "Don't you come up here," he called down. But I couldn't just wait. I followed him, step by careful step. It was dark,
Dusty.
cold, boxes, cobwebs, the smell of old wood, and then breathing, heavy, slow, controlled. From behind a pile of boxes near the back wall, Walter stepped forward. "Marcus," he said, voice low. "Come out now, or I'll blow a hole in that pile big enough to send you straight to hell." Nothing. Then a soft voice answered. "You think you're the hero, old man? But I've already won." Marcus stood up from behind the boxes, hands empty, eyes wild. "I lived in this house for years. I know every inch of it. I watched you fix the locks. I watched you cry when you thought I was gone. I've been waiting for this." I stepped beside Walter, clutching a hammer I grabbed from the toolbox near the ladder. "You're a monster," I spat. "You fooled all of us, abused this family, lied to my daughter, and hurt your own children." He smirked. "I didn't lie. I just took what I wanted." That's when Melanie's voice echoed from below. "The cops are coming, Marcus. Run now, and maybe you'll live." He lunged. Straight at Walter. Walter fired. The sound cracked the attic walls, but Marcus tackled him, knocking the gun across the floor. I screamed and swung the hammer, hit Marcus on the shoulder. But he backhanded me so hard I nearly fell down the ladder. Walter and Marcus rolled across the floor, fists flying. Then Melanie appeared below, shouting, "Grandma, move." She had a pistol in her hands. Jessica's gun. I rolled to the side.
Bang.
The shot rang out like Judgment Day. Marcus froze, looked down. Blood bloomed across his chest. He staggered back, fell against the attic wall, then crumpled to the floor. Melanie climbed up, tears running down her face. "I didn't want to, but he was going to kill you." I held her tightly. "You saved us." The police stormed the house minutes later. Marcus was pronounced dead at the scene. Jessica's files on the phone confirmed everything: stalking, abuse, footage, escape routes, even plans to kidnap the children. She went into witness protection and gave full testimony to the authorities. Melanie was cleared of any wrongdoing. The kids started therapy. We changed homes, moved to a smaller place near the lake where birdsong drowned out nightmares. And Walter, old, strong, loving Walter, built a new porch swing just for me.
Fresh start, he said.
But we won't forget. We visit Marcus's grave sometimes. Not to mourn, but to remind ourselves how far evil can hide behind a smile. I look at my grandkids playing in the yard now, laughing again, and I remember how close we came to losing it all. So I tell this story not to scare you, child, but to warn you. Evil doesn't always knock on the door with a frown. Sometimes it kisses your cheek and calls you mom. Sometimes it sleeps under your roof. And sometimes it waits in the attic. But love, real love, fights back,
Protects. Heals.
and survives. If you're still watching, darling, leave a comment below. Let Grandma know where you're watching from. I want to hear from you. And don't forget to like and subscribe to Grandma's Tales, where truth speaks louder than fear. I'll be back soon with another story. Until then, be careful who you trust.